This is where Job starts to get in trouble here. In verses 35 through 40, Job begins to demand of God an answer. And that's where we get things wrong. We're not to demand God of an answer. Hey, you guys, it is good to see you today. We are going to go ahead and get started in Job chapter 31. This is going to be Job's final response. We're going to get into the next several chapters, which will be a mix of God himself speaking and also Elihu, another one of the people here that was brought with the friends. And I'll go more into who that is tomorrow. But if you'll go ahead and grab your Bibles, we're going to get started in Job 31, verse 1. I made a covenant with my eyes not to look with lust at a young woman. For what has God above chosen for us? What is our inheritance from the Almighty on high? Isn't it calamity for the wicked and misfortune for those who do evil? Doesn't he see everything I do and every step I take? Have I lied to anyone or deceived anyone? Let God weigh me on the scales of justice, for he knows my integrity. If I have strayed from his pathway, or if my heart is lusted for what my eyes have seen, or if I am guilty of any other sin, then let someone else eat the crops I have planted. Let all that I have planted be uprooted. If my heart has been seduced by a woman, or if I have lusted for my neighbor's wife, then let my wife serve another man. Let other men sleep with her. For lust is a shameful sin, a crime that should be punished. It is a fire that burns all the way to hell. It would wipe out everything I own. If I have been unfair to my male or female servants when they brought their complaints to me, how could I face God? What could I say when he questioned me? For God created both me and my servants. He created us both in the womb. Have I refused to help the poor or crushed the hopes of widows? Have I been stingy with my food and refused to share it with orphans? No. From childhood I have cared for orphans like a father, and all my life I have cared for widows. Whenever I saw the homeless without clothes and the needy with nothing to wear, did they not praise me for providing wool, clothing, to keep them warm? If I raised my hand against an orphan, knowing the judges would take my side, then let my shoulder be wrenched out of place. Let my arm be torn from its socket. That would be better than facing God's judgment. For if the majesty of God opposes me, what hope is there? Have I put my trust in money or felt secure because of my gold? Have I gloated about my wealth and all that I own? Have I looked at the sun shining in the skies or the moon walking down its silver pathway and been secretly enticed in my heart to throw kisses at them in worship? If so, I should be punished by the judges, for it would mean I had denied the God of heaven. Have I ever rejoiced when disaster struck my enemies, or become excited when harm came their way? No, I have never sinned by cursing anyone or by asking for revenge. My servants have never said, "He let others go hungry." I have never turned away a stranger, but have opened my doors to everyone. Have I tried to hide my sins like other people do, concealing my guilt in my heart? Have I feared the crowd or the contempt of the masses, so that I kept quiet and stayed indoors? If only someone would listen to me. Look, I will sign my name to my defense. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser write out the charges against me. I would face the accusation proudly. I would wear it like a crown, for I would tell him exactly what I have done. I would come before him like a prince. If my land accuses me and all its furrows cry out together, or if I have stolen its crops or murdered its owners, then let thistles grow on that land instead of wheat, and weeds instead of barley. Job's words are ended. So Job is giving his last defense to his innocence here. And he is confident that he has not sinned. And so he's replaying what his life was like. You know, you remember that God said that he was sinless, he was blameless and upright before God. It didn't go into detail about what that life looked like, but here Job gives us a picture into what his life was like and how he walked rightly before God and was blameless. But this is where Job starts to get in trouble here. In verses 35 through 40, Job begins to demand of God an answer. And that's where we get things wrong. We're not to demand God of an answer, but instead to humbly, even though we want to know why something's happening, the reasoning behind it, we're not going to always know the answers to things. And we don't demand an answer from God. We can ask of it, but He doesn't have any obligation to give us those answers. And we just have to trust in the sovereignty of God, knowing that even though we don't understand everything, God, your ways are higher, your thoughts are higher, you are just and you are true. And I will follow you, even if I don't understand it all. And we have to be careful that we don't let pride and arrogance take root in our heart, even if the truth shows that we're blameless and right before God. It doesn't mean that we have the right to demand that of Him. Well, thank you for joining me today, Job. I said before it can be a heavy book, but you guys have stuck through it, and I am so thankful that you've been on this journey with me here. But I will catch you guys tomorrow for the next chapter in Job. Bye.